Please welcome to the stage, Jagmeet Singh.
Slow song later on today. Yes, let me get my props ready here. Got some stuff here. All right. We're ready to go. Good evening, everybody. How you feeling? That's awesome. It's a great response. Merci de me recevoir. That doesn't really work because you didn't really. No, I'm just sorry. Thank you for the kind welcome. Thank you for the great song to walk out to. And a very good evening to all of my parliamentary colleagues and the members of the press gallery. And a special shout out to a group that was very unfairly excluded tonight, Local 57 of the United Brotherhood of Fake News Memes. If any of them are watching at home, I want to say something to them. You may have not been invited here tonight, but you're always welcome in my imaginary mansion. You laugh, but that's what our party's using for the collateral to cover our loan for the election. You may remember that story, the fake news story in February. My mansion was supposedly worth $5.5 million. Well, that's how you know it was a hoax. Because in the Vancouver market, that's only going to get you a one-bedroom walk-up. Okay, and I got to put this out there so it's clear. I am sorry to tell you that there will be no Bhangra lessons tonight. Not going to happen. I know, I'm sorry. What happened is CTV used some of that footage in their version of So You Think You Can Dance Canada. After watching the footage of that dancing, the new show is called Eesh, Maybe Not So Much. So people have asked me, they have not, because I turned the page too quick. I also want to get something out of the way really quickly. It's something really that's been weighing on me. Many of you will remember that double-ender I did back in January when I said something that I truly regret. You'll recall my exact words were, who accused who of white supremacy? Tonight, I want to correct the record. And the answer is so obvious to me now. I should have said, who accused whom of white supremacy? Hopefully that will stem the tide of hate mail I've been receiving from English teachers across Canada. So some of you probably haven't seen much of me in Ottawa. I've been on a book tour recently, supporting my new book, Love and Courage, available now at your favorite independent bookseller. One of the things I've learned, thanks for that was great, 2 people there. One of the things I've learned is that it's so easy to naturally slip into conversation the fact that you've got a book like Love and Courage, available now at your local independent bookseller. Back up. It's an important book. Can't afford very many of those. The original title was You've Got to Ask Guy Caron About It, but then Guy asked me to change it. Some people were really surprised about how personal I get in my story, how I'm so willing to talk about painful subjects, because normally I'm so shy and reticent. I'll remind you, I'm the same guy who combined my engagement to Gurkiran with the media availability. She knew something was up when the AV crew showed up. The team is a little larger than I usually bring on our dates. People have asked me, Jagmeet, why a book? Why now? The answer is simple. You know, other parties have bigger war chests, have more fundraising, and we were looking around for a revenue source. And then it hit me, the lucrative field of Canadian publishing. My agent tells me that if a Canadian author sells enough books, it can earn the author enough money to buy a copy of it. If you think Canada still doesn't use pennies, you haven't seen a Canadian royalty check yet. But seriously, I want to thank everyone who offered to write a blurb in that book for me, even though most of the offers were, wait, are you still here? Yes, I am in fact still here. Hi, I'm Jagmeet Singh. And it's a pleasure to be in such great company, like Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and several MPs who are members of the Liberal caucus. Well, for now, the night is still young. I'm hoping Jody Wilson-Raybould is here tonight. I'd love to get a recording of this afterwards. Oh, and a little extra excitement for the Liberal guests. One of your waiters is actually serving subpoenas for Mark Norman's defense team. See if you can guess who it is. Again, I need to make this really clear. I'm encouraging people to drink water here. Any joke of mine that does not work, I think we can all agree, Scott Bryson's fault. Scott is not there. I'm just pointing in that direction for fun. It's also good to see Andrew Scheer here. I think it's remarkably open-minded of him to come to an event where Faith Goldie isn't speaking. Andrew, I hope you're enjoying your meal. Ça me fait grand plaisir aussi de dire bonjour à mon collègue Yves-François Blanchet, chef du Bloc québécois. Vous savez que Yves-François et moi ne sommes pas d'accord sur la question des symboles religieux. Il voulait être sûr que je m'en rappelle. Donc, il m'a envoyé un nouveau turban bleu apporté à Ottawa seulement, avec écrit dessus, Quebec knows what's right for Quebec. You might have seen those ads. Parlant de turban, vous avez peut-être vu que j'ai décidé d'enlever mon turban pour que les Québécois puissent savoir qu'il y a juste beaucoup de cheveux en dessous. Quelques personnes rient de moi d'avoir fait ça, mais grâce à ça, je viens de signer un contrat avec Head & Shoulders qui va me rapporter plus qu'une année de financement du NPD. Alors, c'est qui rigole maintenant? As a reminder of what extraordinary times we are in Canadian politics, how about Maxime Bernier, leader of the People's Party of Canada? The People's Party of Canada. Official motto, all the good names were taken. Last year, I was a newlywed. And this year, I'm really excited to extend my congratulations to Elizabeth May. I haven't had a chance to get her a present yet, so let me just take a quick second to check what's on her registry. Just pull that up there. So we've got Victoria, Cowichan, Malahat, Langford, Esquimalt, Saanich, Sooke. Wait a second, these are all ridings in North, oh right, Vancouver Island. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna get her a nice gift card instead. Last year, it was my honor to speak to you as the new leader of the New Democratic Party. This year, I'm proud to also be here as the Member of Parliament for Burnaby South. Thank you. You know, my original plan was just to spend 10 minutes reading all of the headlines from columns written before the by-election, all of which predicted that I'd lose. My staff told me that would be petty. That would be mean-spirited, vindictive, but they also saw some downsides, so I thought, okay, maybe I won't do it. It was a remarkable campaign, if you'll recall. The Liberal candidate stepped down over posting racially charged messages to social media. She didn't have a lot of options. It made her radioactive, or as Jason Kenney would say, cabinet material. You know, that gives me a little swagger when I walk into caucus. Most of our MPs have only had to face one Liberal candidate. The by-election, though, it wasn't good news for everyone. Several members of my caucus lost their deposit on the hall they'd rented for my farewell party. I know, it was tough for them. I want to make it clear, though, there are no hard feelings, and I'll tell that to each of those caucus members, as soon as they find their way back from knocking on doors in Calgary Lougheed. Maybe I should ask Mr. Prime Minister for some advice on caucus management. Maybe we could get together. But as a member for Parliament for Burnaby South, I should warn you, I'm a proud Westerner now, which means I'm also feeling a little alienated. See, you Easterners, you don't get what it's like in the West. Neither did I growing up in Windsor. I thought that was Western Canada. But, you know, I'm feeling alienated, not full-blown rebel media alienated. I'm not shopping for a yellow vest anytime soon. Does Harry Rosen even sell yellow vests? Actually, could someone check that for me? I mean, in all seriousness, that's a movement that blows my mind. Of all the political traditions we could have imported from France, we chose that one? I'm serious, we've got a country that offers the world Voltaire, Rousseau, 5-week paid vacations, affordable university tuition, and we're saying, yeah, hard pass and all that, but do you have anything sleeveless and a 38 men's tall? I know I should cut them some slack. You can't define a group by its most extreme elements. Focusing on people who want to jail the Prime Minister for treason just isn't fair to the mainstream who think the UN is plotting forced migration into Canada. By the same token, you can't assume that every new Democrat is a bike-riding, almond latte-sipping vegan who wears hemp underwear, hand-makes their own tofu, and yearns to nationalize Tim Hortons. Plenty of us aren't. Charlie Angus. Hi, Charlie. Don't get mad. These aren't normal times in Canada. There's upheaval everywhere, and we're adjusting to some big changes, like legalizing marijuana. My theory is this was the Prime Minister's response to breaking his promise on electoral reform. He thought, if only there is some way to impair the entire country's short-term memory. I don't use cannabis myself. I don't pass any judgment on people who do. It's just not my thing. Although, if they ever come up with a strain called Orange Kush, side effects include a surge in appetite for social justice. I'd think about it. Not really. C'est un grand changement. Un autre problème est que le gouvernement canadien possède maintenant un pipeline de 4,5 milliards de dollars. Beaucoup de gens avaient du mal à comprendre cette décision. Même chose pour moi, jusqu'à ce que j'ai vu une étude le mois dernier disant que les Américains dépensent près de 40 milliards de dollars par année sur les achats en ligne lorsqu'ils sont ivres. Someone in the PMO might have had one too many post-legalization edibles one night, started surfing around on eBay. Next thing you know, Canada owns a shipping container of Beanie Babies, an outboard motor, and the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Oh, and something called the SNC lava lamp. It's seriously the only explanation that makes sense. Friends, we will soon be in the election campaign, and it can be a time of harsh words and sometimes hard feelings. I made some jokes tonight and I had some fun, but I want you to know that I admire and appreciate the very important work of journalists and media. I especially want to thank you for the impartial and fair and totally non-biased way that you covered my leadership and the NDP. No, to be serious though, we are here tonight in part to celebrate the World Press Freedom Day. And as you all know, all over the world, journalists are in danger just for doing their jobs, asking tough questions and telling inconvenient truths. A free press is truly essential in a thriving democracy. In Canada, we are lucky to have journalists such as yourselves who are dedicated and who are principled, and we can never take this for granted. So tonight, I want to conclude by recognizing my fellow party leaders for taking this decision to be a leader. It's a lot of hard work to lead a federal party. But in particular, I want to acknowledge Mr. Trudeau for his generous spirit, especially his philanthropy. I'm going to ask you all to join me in that spirit and give generously to his favorite cause. Just $5 a day goes a long way towards helping Galen Weston buy a new freezer. For $10 a day, you'll get a tote bag and a jar of President's Choice Memories of Electoral Reform sauce. There's a lot more I could say, folks, but in the words of the great Jane Philpott, there's so much more that needs to be said. But in the words of a third of my caucus, I'm out of here.